Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm taking a look at something a little bit on the different side. This right here is a high-grade model kit, but this isn't a high-grade Gundam model kit. This right here is the kobu-kai Sakura Shinguji type from Sakura Wars 2. So I will just give a bit of a disclaimer right away at the beginning of this video. I have never, ever played any of the games, never seen the associated anime. I'm technically just looking at this from a model kit standpoint. I love Bandai's model kits, that's why I'm checking it out. And this thing looks like it could be some fun. But anyway, if you do want one of your own, this video right here would not have been possible without those awesome people over at Hobby Link Japan. So as usual, there is a link down there in the description. Now here we go, let's check it out. So straight away, there is a quick overview of absolutely everything that comes in the box once you snap this together. This isn't actually everything. I will mention later on about this particular sword here. I did have a bit of an issue. As for what we do get in here, we get this version right here of the kobu-kai. That is the model kit itself. As for the accessories, we've got the sword. Actually, we do have a pair of swords in here. I will mention why this one is not complete later on. We have an alternate pair of manipulators, or hands if you prefer, a set of water slide decals of eyes, a set of metallic color correcting stickers. Most of these are internal, they're not on the outside of the kit, so that's a good thing. I'll show them later on. And finally, we had a set of 2 dual type stickers. So there's no point in me trying to describe these, I might as well just show you straight away. So essentially, that is what you're seeing right now. That green gem and red gem type thing right there. Those are a sort of like 3-dimensional sticker. They're pretty cool. I've seen these once before on an SD Gundam. That would have been the Sisquid, but I've seen them on nothing since. They're very effective and really do catch the light. These are pretty awesome. But without any more further ado, there is the actual finished model kit of the kobu-kai itself. So this is definitely a unique kit. I've never built anything quite like this, and there's a few things I will point out about the way it looks. So like I mentioned already, we do have those kind of gem-like stickers for the eye segments or sensors or whatever those are. That's very eye-catching. They do catch the light very nicely. On top of that, the plastic used in this kit is kind of like a mixed set of, well, visual effects, I guess I could say. The armor in general, it may not pick up so well, but the armor in general right there is a pearlescent effect. So this is kind of a pearl injection plastic, so this kind of shiny effect is in the plastic itself. Some people may like this, some people may hate it. I sometimes find on some kits it does cheapen the overall look, but maybe it's because this has a kind of cute buckety type vibe that I think it kind of suits it. It's quite cute. As well as that, we do have metallic injection gold on this. If you watch my videos regularly, you'll probably know that I'm not a big fan of this type of plastic. It's seriously cheap looking. On this, I guess it's not the worst because, again, it's kind of a cartoony vibe robot, but you know, it's not the entire kit, so it's not the worst. Besides that, then we've got your standard kind of plastic. In the vents here, we've got a glossy red. And for the vast majority of the grey parts on here, it's your standard grey plastic you get in Bandai kits for the inner frame, etc. It's nice, matte, and easy to clean up. Honestly, I think it looks awesome. For what it is, these kind of plastic choices really do work. Anyway, there is the full 360-degree spin, so you can check out all the detail for yourself in case there's anything I missed or there's something you want to see in particular. Anyway, while this is spinning, I'm going to talk about just one tiny, kind of not that important sort of aspect about this kit that is important to me. And it could be important to you too. The scale of this kit is 1/20th scale, which kind of irks me a little bit because nothing else is really 1/20th scale. You think they'd go for at least 1/35th scale, which is what tanks and a lot of aircraft, etc. are. Usually, military scale models are 1/35th scale. Even the full metal panic kits, those are 1/60th scale, which is the same as perfect grade Gunpla. As far as I know, there isn't much you can match this to when it comes to scale. I think Bandai were just going for the general size of this thing. And speaking of the size, there it is beside some typical sized high-grade Gunpla. Could you stand up, please? Thank you! That, of course, is the G40 version of the Granddaddy Gundam, as well as the Mudrock Gundam. There it is beside a standard SD Gundam, so that is the SD Cross Silhouette Ground Gundam. So this is quite small, but not SD small. Next up, there it is side by side with some Master Grade Gunpla. That is the Master Grade Gundam The Origin, as well as Master Grade Gunner Zaku Warrior Luna Marie Hulk. There it is beside some more of Bandai's non-Gundam model kits, which is a 30-minute mission Alto and the Full Metal Panic Arbalest. Some of Kotobukiya's Hexagear kits, and finally a Figma and an SH Figuarts. As for some more details of this kit, this little section here is an actual flexible bit of kind of like a fabric kind of wiry thing. Probably has a better name than that. We've got a whole bunch of opening little segments here. It's nice that underneath we've got some more of that gold in there. And of course, the whole cockpit section here can open up. So this just slides out just like so and can pull forward like this. These little wire segments that I mentioned before, those move very well with this. So they're extremely long, go down in here and kind of just push back in once you have it closed up. So it's a pretty cool design, really. So inside of that opening cockpit, we actually have a little scale model of Sakura herself, which is pretty awesome, and this is nicely detailed. Of course, as you can see, this is not painted, it's just all in a flesh tone. We do get those little eye transfers I showed earlier on. Those are water slides, which you can use for her eyes, but if you want this to be accurate, of course, you're gonna have to paint her up. But once again, the detail on this is impressive. So I just disconnected the whole front section there just so you can see all the way into the figure there, and once again, this is so nicely detailed. These little segments up here attaching into her upper arms, those are actual little wire pieces you connect in and then connect into the bot. So once again, some awesome attention to detail right here. While talking about that and while I have the front off, there is the inside of the console section. There are all those stickers I mentioned earlier on, the foil stickers. They're all the screens, etc. inside of that. We even have what looks like one of those kind of old-timey talkie horns in here. So this is pretty interesting. Once again, I've never played the game, but it's given me a bit of a steampunkish vibe. Pretty cool. So now moving on into the accessories, and there isn't really a whole lot in here, just a couple of swords and a couple of extra hands. So like I said, there should be a couple of these big old katanas in here, but we've only got the one, or I should say I only have the one. The reason for that is because I do have a blade and I do have the hilt, but I'm actually missing this little guard segment right here. Now, this doesn't usually happen, and I'm just going to talk about this right now, but the quality control with Bandai's kits in general is as good as it gets, but there's the occasional time where you'll get an incomplete runner. This has only ever happened to me a grand total of 3 times, and I've built, I would at least say, I don't know, 400, 500 kits at this point, easily. The only kits that has ever happened to me is this one right here on this particular runner. As you can see, it's just a little bit unfinished at this point. Thankfully, that is the only part that's missing, that one little hilt, so I can see how that could have slipped past quality control. But the worst I ever got was, I got incomplete wings with a perfect grade strike freedom. And that is ridiculous. However, this, not so bad, and like I said, I've built a lot of kits, so just 3 is not the worst, and I'm sure you could get the parts replaced. But anyway, moving on. As for the hands or manipulators, depending on what you want to call them, we've got the standard pair of open ones, and we've got a pair of weapon holding ones. So pretty simple, they just pop in like so, just your standard ball joint into a poly cap. That is what the holding hand looks like. You do need to take this little guard segment off the standard hand. You only get 1 per arm, so every time you move the hands on and off, you need to swap this between the two. So that just pops on just like that. But anyway, moving on. As for the hands or manipulators, depending on what you want to call them, we've got the standard pair of open ones, and we've got a pair of weapon holding ones. So pretty simple, they just pop in like so, just your standard ball joint into a poly cap. That is what the holding hand looks like. You do need to take this little guard segment off the standard hand. You only get 1 per arm, so every time you move the hands on and off, you need to swap this between the two. So that just pops on just like that. So next up in here, or should I say last up in here, we've got the sword. So this is just made of 3 different parts. That is the red hilt, that gold colored guard, and a silver injection plastic right there for the blade. So it does catch the light, but looks a teeny bit on the cheap looking side. There is the picture of it on the side of the box, so it is not fully color accurate. It's not the worst, but as you can see, it is missing the gold sections from in there on the hilt. That's what it should look like. And the red sections from in here on the grooves of the blade. But both of those are recessed segments, so those are totally super easy to paint though. And using these swords is extremely simple. You just slot it into the hand just like that right there. So now that the weapon is equipped, there's an example of what it will look like up on a shelf with a collection of model kits. I will mention that the majority of the kits up on the shelf are master grade Gunpla, so they're fairly sizable kits. So this isn't exactly what this would look like if it was in a collection of smaller mecha like SD kits or high grade kits. So it is a bit on the small side and doesn't have all that much shelf presence when it comes to a large collection like this. However, it's cute, pink, and awesome. So finally we're going to move on to the articulation, and as usual from the, well, it doesn't have a head, but from the top down. Up top we do have these two opening flap segments. They pop up just like so, looking pretty cool, like we've seen before. Up top we also have this little compartment that opens up just like so. I guess that's for her to look out, maybe? I don't know. Closes up like that. These two eye segments can look all the way to the left like this, all the way to the left down bottom, all the way to the right on the bottom, and all the way to the right on the top. These eyes are so cool. These little gems, they're so effective, and at the same time, they're so cute. Next up at the shoulder armor, we've got a little bit of up and down. The shoulder in here is just like a standard high-grade polycap, so that is forward and back in there. A ball joint inside of that. We also have another little joint in the upper arm right here, which allows it to move all the way up to there. So just above parallel to the ground. There it is all the way off, but oh, bye-bye. That gives me an opportunity to show this joint. So that is just your standard sandwich two pieces together with a ball joint on one of them that allows it to move up and down like this. Then we have a bit of rotation inside of that, but not a complete 360. The bend at the elbow, just like a lot of this kit, is quite basic, so a little under 45 degrees. Wait, I mean 90 degrees. The wrist here is a ball joint, so it can wiggle around like this, as well as spin round. This armor can flip all the way forward and back. Reconnect that back on. Moving down a little bit further, we have these little bits of armor plates. On the side, these are ball joints. Just simple ball joints on polycap balls, so they can swing forward and back and do what a ball joint can do. These little vent segments are on a very simple kind of hinge, so they can flap up and down just like that. We've got another ball joint right here for this little bit of crotch armor, so it's got a little bit of movement, but not a whole lot. Just popping off the leg in the armor here so you can see into the hip section. This hip joint can move back and forward just like that. So if you move one leg forward, it will bring the other leg back. If you move the other leg back, then the other leg will move forward. So it's just a simple kind of rotation inside of there. So as for the kick up to the front, oh, you're not getting much out of that, are you? Woo! Look at that. Moving it out to the back, it's a little bit better because it doesn't have one of these little venty things towards the back. As for out the way, it's not going to be doing the splits anytime soon. It is a bit blocked by the side skirting armor, and that's all you're going to get. We have rotation at the upper leg there, but it only goes from there to there, not the whole way around. Next up then is the knee bend. That feels like just a single joint, and yeah, once again, that is pretty weak right there. Down at the foot now, we got this flappy ankle armor. The ankle can move up and down like this, and there's a bit of side to side pivot. Let's throw that down on the ground to check out the functional movement of this stubby leg. So what I mean by that is how much you can get out of this without raising the foot off the ground. So there it is all the way to the... Oh, Jesus. That's all the way to the front. There it is all the way to the back. Oh, man. Oh, wait, the toe bends. Oh, that's cute. Got a bit of a toe bend right here I didn't know about. Let's keep that in mind, and a little bit better. Next up there is the side to side pivot. So this little bucket, it can't really do a lot. But yeah, articulation is not the name of the game here, but hey, it's super cute, so you can't hold it against it. So that right there is it for the review of the high-grade 1/20th scale kobu-kai Sakura Shinguji type from Sakura Wars 2. So because this says high-grade on the box, that means I am still going to hold this against standard high-grade standards. For example, what I would expect right now from high-grade Gunpla. So that nets this thing right here a solid, bronze tier. This little kit right here looks nice and looks cute, but that's all it's got going for it. When it comes to high grade, this is extremely basic. Once again, the looks are its strongest part. The colors are nice if you like this kind of color. If you like the pearl injection with the metallic gold, the metallic silver on the sword, and those little jewels, then this will be right up your alley. It is extremely, well, kawaii as hell. But if you want something to play around with, something to pose, something to customize, something to kit bash with Gunpla, etc., this may not be what you're looking for. It's all looks, no action. Once again, if you want the looks, it is perfect for you. But if you want something to play around with, something to pose, something to look awesome, you might want to look elsewhere. Anyway, if you do want one of your own, there's a link down there in the description. You can get yours at Hobby Link Japan. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more model kit and Gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time. Of course, I can't end this video right here without the shout out to all of you who support me on the channel memberships and over on Patreon, like Craig Jury, Kaiser721, Forged Horizons, Bulwick, Tyler Sanders, Caleb Engelhart, and Hank Handsome.